Okay, so last video I talked a bit about how to convert the intercept, how to use the intercept form, I should say. So the intercept form being like x over a plus y over b equals 1. And that's going to always go through an x-intercept at whatever a is and a y-intercept at whatever b is. Because x over the x-intercept plus y over the y-intercept will always equal 1 for lots of interesting reasons. So there you go. I've got that basic equation. I can move it all over the place, and you can see, we can see that it will always go through the x-intercept at what the x-intercept, at whatever a is. So x over 1.33 goes through an x-intercept of 1.3, and y over negative 0.83 goes through a y-intercept of negative 0.83. And if I add x over the x-intercept plus y over the y-intercept, I get 1. Okay, that's cool. Let's get rid of all of that, though, because the real question that comes up often is, how do you turn other equations into this fabulous form? Now, with the slope-intercept form, which is this first one you've got here, it's already probably obvious that the y-intercept is 2. So we already have a y over 2. But we need to find the x-intercept. So there's a couple ways you can do that. One is just to say, okay, 0 equals 11x plus 2. And then we can subtract 2 from both sides. So negative 2 equals 11x. And then x will equal negative 2 over 11. Okay, so cool. That is the x-intercept. So we could, now that we know the y-intercept is 2 and the x-intercept is negative 2/11, we can say x over, and then I'm going to put that in parentheses, negative 2 over 11, okay, plus y over 2 equals 1. That's a fairly awkward one, but it will work. Okay, the other way to deal with this one is to simply rearrange it. So I'm going to say, I'm going to subtract 11x from both sides. I'll end up with negative 11x. Basically, I'm moving all the variables to one side. So negative 11x plus y will equal 2. And now I'm going to divide everything in the equation by 2. So that's going to end up being negative 11 over 2. Oops, that's supposed to be a 2 times x plus y over 2 equals 1, because 2 over 2 is 1. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, what do I do with this? Well, remember keep, change, flip? Yeah, this is negative 11 over 2 times x, or we could say x times negative 11 over 2. We can convert that into division and put that in the denominator if we flip the fraction. So if we flip this fraction, so we've already got the y-intercept, that's easy. We flip this fraction and we put it into the denominator like this. It was negative 11 halves. Now we make it negative 2 over 11. Now we've done the exact same thing. That's x divided by the flip of negative 11 halves, which is the same thing. Keep, change, flip works both ways. Okay, well that gave us an intercept form for that, where the x-intercept is negative 2/11 and the y-intercept is 2. It'll work for awkward situations. But I'll do one that's less awkward here. This equation isn't a form you've worked with yet, probably. This happens to be in the standard form. But what we can do with this equation is we can divide both sides, divide everything by 50. So if I divide 4 by 50, 4 divided by 50, I get, I get 0.08, okay? So that's going to be x over 0.08. That's a neat and tidy fraction, decimal. I can actually do it this way, though. I'm going to say 4x over 50. And then over here, that's 5y divided by 50 is just going to be 1 over 10. So it'll be y over 10. And then 50 divided by 50 is just 1. Now, I still have a little work to do here, so I'm going to factor a 2 out of top and bottom. So that's 25. And I'll factor a 2 out of top and bottom, so that becomes a 1, and that becomes 12.5. And I don't need the 1 in the numerator. So x over 12.5 is going to be plus y over 10 will end up equaling 1. So actually, let's test that out. Let me get rid of some of this other stuff that's distracting so we can look at that. Let's test that out. So does that go through 12.5, x over 12.5? That is the x-intercept, and y over 10, that is the y-intercept, so it works. So all I had to do was divide all parts by 50 and then do a little rearranging. Okay, now I'm going to turn that one off, and I ended up with x over the x-intercept plus y over the y-intercept. I'll turn that one off so it's not distracting, and let's look at how we can deal with a point-slope form equation. All right, well, first thing I want to do is I want to distribute the 2. So I'm going to copy pasta there. 2 times x minus 18. Now, I want to get the x stuff on the, get all the variables on one side and all the numbers on the right, on the other side. So I'm going to start by subtracting 2x from both sides. So I get negative 2x plus y minus 5 equals negative 18. Now I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So negative 2x plus y is going to equal negative 13. Now I have to divide both sides by negative 13. So that's going to be, on the left, it'll be negative 2 over negative 13 times x plus y over negative 13. And negative 13 divided by negative 13 will be 1. And so this creates an equation that is going to go through an x-intercept. Actually, let me deal with the y-intercept first. The y-intercept is more straightforward. It's negative 13. And then over here, the x-intercept is 6.5. Well, how do I get that from this negative 2 over negative 13? Well, first, let's clean out the negatives. Get rid of that. Get rid of that because it's negative over negative. And remember, keep, change, flip. We can say x over 13 over 2. Leave that parentheses. And then I'll clean out this negative as well. I'll move it out in front so it becomes minus y over 13 equals 1. And so that represents that the y-intercept is still negative 13. That negative can be there or there. If you have a negative in the denominator, you can rearrange that. 13 halves is the same as 6.5 or 6.5. And so there we have our x-intercept, which was already identified by the graph as 6.5, and our y-intercept at negative 13. And I'm hoping that this has helped clear up a little bit how to rearrange things. You can always rearrange an equation from one form to another. It just involves using some of your variable solving tools to a new purpose of just rearranging the variables so they are where you want them to be.